Greetings, everyone. This is Dayhawk bringing to you episode 29 of Shaman King 2001. So, this episode begins with a flashback where Yo came out of the cave and Ellie and Millie attacked him. And if you can remember, they had a blasting off sequence. And meanwhile, in the background, while all of that was happening, you get to see Yo's father and Ryu just looking onward, and both of them were impressed of Yo's abilities. And so it continues on to Ryu at the house, outside of the house, in the rain, waiting for a response from Yome and Mikihisa. Finally, Mikihisa. We're talking, and Mikihisa is trying to convince his father-in-law to take him in as an apprentice. And so in the next scene, in the next day, Ryu appears outside at a river while Yome was on top of Ryu's motorcycle, and tells him that I will take you on as my apprentice, but before that I have to test you. That you have to climb at the summit of the mountain of 1,000 pains. And he also tells him about the story about the Yamata no Orochi. And Ryu was like, wait a minute, am I gonna fight such a beast? And Yome is like, of course not. It's a fictional monster. But he was explaining that the true monster is the river itself, whatever that means, right? And so Ryu and Tokugaru goes on this journey. You get to see Ryu climbing up the cliff, but he keeps on falling. And Tokugaru was like, "Are you sure you want to do this? You keep on falling. Why don't you just give up?" And Ryu was like, "No, this is what I want. I want to become a shaman. If I have to climb it 1,000 times and keep on falling, then so be it. Just as long as I reach the mountain." And you see him in a couple of scenes just falling on the river and floating away, and he just keeps on climbing until it was late at night. You get to see Ryu drying his clothes, and Tokugaru was like talking like, well, see ya, I have no reason to stay here, I will leave. And Ryu's like, no, you're gonna become my guardian ghost. And he was like, why? And so on and so forth. And then as they were having this conversation, they get attacked by ghosts. Tokugaru just goes away, and you see Ryu just grab his wooden stick and tries to attack him. And so in the next morning, Ryu continues on this path, and next you know, a flash flood appears, and that's what Yome was talking about, the Yamata Orochi, aka the Flash Flood. And so Tokugero appears and like, are you crazy? You can't face this flood. You need to run away. And Ryo's like, no, I have to face it. And together, they managed to stop the flood, and they made it on top of the mountain and guarantees him apprenticeship. And I find it to be very cool and inspiring, which I will later on speak on it. And mind you, if those who already seen this episode and wondering why are you doing the flashback first, I'm kind of figured I'm gonna do the flashback all in one and do the present day right after. So that way, the scene where Yo and the gang are in the cave, Isaac is being a Debbie Downer, and Ryu's telling his story, we could skip all that because I already told it. So, in the beginning of the episode, well, right after the mini flashback, Yo and the gang are in the middle of a snowstorm and they're pretty much lost. And however, they spotted Shaman in front of them going up the mountain, so they figured, oh well, we're not completely lost. There's a couple of shaman going up the mountain, so we're heading into the right path. And just when they're continuing on the path, they get to see these 5 frozen pillars, which later to be revealed as the Lily Five, who were, based on what they're dressed, they're not prepared for the cold. And so the Lily Five and Yo and his friends managed to find like a cave, and they sat around in the fire and pretty much talking. Of course, Ren was like, "Are you mad? We can't have them here. They're our enemy." And Yo was like, "It's okay. It's all right. We're all heading to the same way, and I don't think they're gonna kill us in our sleep, right?" um. And then as they were having this talk, Lyserg senses a strange familiar power. He goes outside, and lo and behold, it's Hao. And you've noticed Yao and his group are not unaffected by the blizzard, because if you could see, like, there's like a dome surrounding them, and the blizzard just bounces off them as if it was nothing. So Hao's magic is protecting them from the blizzard, and Yo, no, sorry, Hao was telling Yo to, I need you to become stronger. I don't want to kill you just yet, because apparently Hao has a plan in motion, whatever that is. And he goes away. Lizer tries to attack him from behind, but he gets pushed back by Hao, and 3 of the Lily Five goes with him. And so back in the cave, Horror was like, why didn't you leave with your friends? And they didn't give an answer, but I figured since Millie doesn't want to leave Lyserg behind, and so Millie was taking care of him, and Lily was there present taking care of him as well. And he came to, and that's where he gets depressed, because he noticed that he is frightened by Hao's power, because look at the blizzard, look at the snowstorm. It's like it doesn't affect him whatsoever. he's too powerful. How can I defeat him when he has control of nature? Which, mind you, if you already seen my previous episode, episode 15, it explains how he has control over nature, because he has control of all five elements, and he who controls all five can control nature itself. That that's what Yome said in the reboot, but they don't know that yet. So he gets depressed, and that's where Ryu tells his story on how he became a shaman. And and so after the story, after the flashback, the blizzard stops, and then you get into the scene of Hao and his followers and three of the Lily Five, Sharona, Sally, and Ellie. And one of Hao's followers said that Hao is gonna flood. He's gonna melt the ice from the river and cause a flood, and to kill all of the shaman that are in the flood's path. And of course, the girls was like, "Are you mad? That's just wrong." Like, and and Hao just didn't care. They're only gonna kill the weak ones. I mean, that's not a big deal. And one of the followers just deemed them weak and just pushes them off the cliff, landed in the frozen river. Hao unleashes the spirit of fire, and it melts the river, and it causes a flood. And let's see. Um, Luckily, Yo and the team um were there, see, looking. They try their best to warn people who are still in the path, like, hey, there's a flood coming, you need to get away. But no, there's some shaman that end up getting caught in the flood. But luckily, Ryu, revisiting what happened in the past with the a flash flood that happened early on, he ended up stopping the flood as much as he could. Then you had Ho freezing the water, and then Ren cuts the water off, and then Lyserg rescued Sharona, Sally, and Ellie, and two shaman, and that's it. Mind you, in the background, Hal was witnessing the whole thing, and he was very impressed. And the episode ends with Yome looking at the spell book called the Cho Shinji Yak Yaketsu. Yeah, it's a long Japanese name, but that's Hao's book of spells, and it's reacting, and he assumes that, like, it wants to go back to its master. It's reacting to Hao, and he needs to call Anna, which he does, and that's the end of it. This episode was very inspiring because I see Ryu as myself climbing that mountain and wanting to be something that is very difficult. Obviously, in this world, there's no such thing as a shaman. What there is, but not in that particular way. But we all have our dreams, and of course, there's gonna be slip ups in life that will make us doubt ourselves. and it's really hard. Believe me, it's really hard because there's so many factors you cannot control, and life tends to pull you away from that path. But there is a quote that is kind of rings life on the situation. And this quote, it says, "Many things can be accomplished by believing in it." So if you want to become a shaman, per se, and you believe it in all your heart, you can do it. You know, in Ryu's case, he believed it in all his heart. He was inspired by so many people in his life. And if you can remember in the beginning, he was like hanging out in the graveyard with his friends, and maybe he didn't have a purpose, but when he met people like Mikihisa, Anna, Tokugawa, Minamaru, and the rest, he got inspired and he wants to be a part of their world. Because if you can remember, he's looking for his perfect place. And in a way, we are all looking for that perfect place in our lives. And that's where we're trying to achieve with, you know, our lives. Hopefully people encounter this episode and watch it, feel related to Ryu and feel a bit inspired. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. It reminds me of my personal situation. But I'm not gonna get too personal here. A danger prince will always have his secrets. Well, no, that's not how it goes. It's a true magician never reveals his secrets. But in this case, I'm a danger prince, so I'm not gonna reveal all of my personal secrets. Well, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next video. And be careful out there. I heard in your realm it's pretty hot, and it's passing through my realm, which kind of sucks. I hate hot. I prefer the cold. Okay, I prefer cold. But anyways, thank you so much. Please give it a like, and I will see you all on the flip side. Johnny!